And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive Friday, October 31st. Happy Halloween, everybody. As you can see, I dressed up as me. But enjoy your Halloween if you're dressing up. I know today a lot of people have stuff going on. Maybe people will be less interested in placing their lineups, and that makes things better for us. I'm Josh Engelman, by the way. That is DK DFS. We are here to break down an 8-game NBA slate. I kind of like this one. There's a lot of really weird spots. I'm on some different stuff. That's usually either a recipe for incredible success or incredible failure. I'll take it either way that I can get it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter at DK__DFS. What's going on, man?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Glad it's Friday. I really like the slate. 8 games. Again, we got some early games. We got some later games. So nice slate swap slate. We have some injury news that we're still waiting for. I kind of have a take on that. We'll get to that. But yeah, overall, I'm excited to play this slate for sure.
Yeah, a couple good spots. We've got these 2 7:00 games. And then, a 7:30 start, an 8 o'clock start. Then we take a break for 90 minutes. And I think that's a very interesting break in the slate in this midway point, because we're going to have a lot of information to inform the decisions we make for late swaps for 9:30, 10, and then culminating in this 10:30 tip. So should be good. We have a lot to talk about. There are 8 games. There's no shortage of items. So we're going to get it started. Game number 1, the Atlanta Hawks, the Indiana Pacers. Pacers, 2.5-point dogs at home. Unfortunately, everything we could possibly want to watch for this game doesn't exist. Tyrese Halliburton, no. Nembhard, no. Mathurin, no. Toppin, no. Trae Young, no. It's no after no. There's so many people missing, and now it's Trae Young. Johnny Furphy and Talon Peter are both questionable if we want to add to that list. We do have a bunch of ownership coming in here, though. 35% to Jarris Walker. We also show him with some positive leverage. Pascal Siakam, around 15. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, around 15. Ray J. Dennis, just shy of 15, and then everybody else in single digits. Let's start at the top here. Jarris Walker, small forward, power forward eligible, 5,500. How are you feeling about that ownership right now?
Yeah, I like Jarris Walker a lot here. Again, moved in the starting lineup and played, 36 minutes last game. Had a nice role, 19 shot attempts, potential assists were very solid. He's right there with Pascal Siakam, just because, again, this team doesn't really have like a true point guard right now. And a guy that can contribute in a lot of different ways in an up-tempo game. Again, with how shorthanded the Pacers are, I think he's going to start again and play 30-plus minutes. So, he's not as cheap as he was on the previous slate, but I still think he stands out right now as one of the better point per dollar plays here in the mid-range.
Completely agree. Just very easy to get to. Great positional flexibility. The only downside is just getting someone that heavy in the first game, but I think he deserves every single bit of it here just because they're missing so many guys. Mm-hmm. That said, $9,300 Pascal Siakam, this is his team. He has carte blanche to do whatever, whenever he wants, but $9,300 is no joke of a price tag. How are you feeling about Siakam here? The last that I ran my sims, I did not have very much. I took a look at him, moved some rates around. My guess is I end up around the field, but how are you feeling about him?
Yeah, I think the ownership right now is about right. Obviously, again, this is his team, right? The numbers have been insane over the last couple of games for Pascal Siakam. 60 passes made, 16 potential assists. In the game against Dallas, he had a 31.5% usage rate. In the game against Minnesota, he had a 35% usage rate. So just a guy that's kind of doing everything. The rebounding numbers are up too. This team's playing some small ball just because they're kind of just rotating some of the bigs. But Siakam, again, rebounding numbers are up on him too. So at around 20%, I think that's about right. But I'd still like the upside on him in this game. I would not be surprised if Siakam went for 55 or 60 tonight.
No, not at all. The assumption right now is that Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to take over the spot for Trae Young. He is point guard, small forward eligible, 5,700, about 15% owned. I think that all looks fine. I don't have much of a take here. Like that price is pretty much supporting the role that he's going to have at this point. I don't have much of a take. Like we're not gaining anything today in the way that we could have if he had been like playing 20 minutes a game and now he's going to play 30.
Yeah, like I feel like that price point is about right. He did play 18 second half minutes, so he started the second half for Trae Young, played 18 second half minutes, which is good to see. But it was actually Dyson Daniels that took on more of the ball handling role. He had it was double digit potential assists. I think it was 12 potential assists that last game. So, but Nickeil, I still think is like a reasonable option. Again, I think he starts. There's an outside chance that they go to Keaton Wallace in the starting lineup, but based on what we saw last game, I would lean that it's Nickeil. So. Overall, I'm kind of similar. I'm just like indifferent. It's nice he's got the guard forward eligibility, but I'm not going to go out of my way to play him.
Are you interested in anybody else here? Most of these guys are relatively low owned. I will say, prior to starting this show, I was getting a little bit more of Aaron Nesmith than I was expecting. He appears to be one of the guys that I might be taking a bit of a stand on. 5,700, small forward, so not a position that's typically very fun. And it's not as if he's not allowed to do whatever he wants while he's out there. One of the few remaining like real players on the Pacers.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with Naismith at his current ownership. The role, again, the minutes are very solid for him. Played 35 and then 37 minutes. The shooting, he hasn't been shooting the ball well, right? 6 of 17 2 games ago, 2 of 16, but like the shot attempts are there. And one of these games, the shots are going to fall. So, yeah, at low ownership, I agree. I think he's a pretty solid tournament play and someone that does have a higher ceiling than what he's shown so far.
You like anybody else here?
Yeah, I like Jalen Johnson and Porzingis at their ownerships, especially Jalen Johnson. So right now he's projecting for about 5% ownership. He got in a little bit of foul trouble last game, lost out in some minutes, still played about 30. I think he could very easily play 35 minutes in this game for sure. He's obviously going to have to do some more playmaking without Trae Young. The usage is up on him as well. He had about a 30% usage rate last game in the game that Trae went down early. So I'm much higher on Jalen Johnson than the field. And I'm also much higher on Porzingis. He also dealt with some foul trouble, played about 25 minutes. I think he could push for about 30 minutes tonight. Yeah, it kind of sucks he's only center eligible, but I think those two main guys for Atlanta, Jalen Johnson and Porzingis, are going overlooked right now by the field.
I had some intrigue in Jalen Johnson because it just feels like he is perfectly set up to try to like take the reins and run with it in this spot without Trae. I don't know what it is. Like he's just, I'd like to have somewhere in that like 10 to 15% range because I do think that there are I mean, it's not like you're worried about Indiana from a defensive standpoint. Like he should be able to thrive here, and I hope that he can. Price might be like $200-300 too high to like make me feel amazing about it, but he's a guy that I hope that I get a little bit more of. I like that shout. Porzingis, like I'm always happy to have him. Center only, just kind of limiting here. I think I'd rather have the flexibility moving forward, but if he ends up in lineups, I'm excited about it because when he's out there, he's awesome.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on Ray J. Dennis getting around 10% right now?
Mostly indifferent. Just looking at my data right now, basically in lockstep, within a point of us. I assume he's just like a 10% guy for me. I don't have much of a take.
Okay. Yeah. Like I think there's more downside to him right now than upside.
Yeah.
I know he played 30 minutes last game, but again, Quentin Jackson, second game back, played 17 minutes. Like he could play a little bit more. We possibly have Johnny Furphy back. I don't know. I'm not as confident in that. Again, he's been playing well. So I get why he's getting some love, but again, I think there's a little bit more downside right now. Anything
else you want to touch on here for Indy or Atlanta?
No, I think that's it.
Speaking of games that would be a lot more fun if all of the people were healthy, the Boston Celtics are in Philadelphia taking on the Sixers. Obviously, we know who's out for Boston. For Philly, it's kind of the same situation, just missing a bunch of bodies, completely different team. However, they are undefeated. And let's not forget, I didn't mention it out of the gate. Today's the first day of the NBA Cup. I don't really think it matters in terms of the way that we're looking at these games. Typically, they start to care a little bit more about the intricacies of the cup later in the games. It doesn't seem to matter as much, but you could see somebody put their foot on someone's throat if they're really beating the hell out of someone. But for Philly, no Dominic Barlow, no Jared McCain, no Paul George. For Boston, obviously no Jason Tatum, but that's pretty much their only major issue. We've got another guy with quite a bit of ownership in this one, similar to the last one. $4,500 Josh Minot. 33.5% owned, 27% optimal, pretty sizable negative leverage. You got a Minot take?
Yeah, I think he's going a little bit over-owned right now. And I am a Minot guy. Again, I think he is a solid player here, but I just think he was someone that I talked about a little bit earlier, but he was someone that I was going to wait for the ownership to kind of decide what I want to do with him. And if the field's going to gravitate towards, just jamming him, then I think I'm okay not having him. I know he's played, averaging about 30 minutes per game over the last couple of games, but is foul prone for sure. And if he comes out and struggles, the minutes do not have to be there. The Celtics, again, they're going to ride the hot hand with the front court guys. With Minot, I think it is a little bit of a scary fade for sure. But again, at current ownership at about 35%, I think I'm willing to roll the dice and be underweight to that.
I anticipate being a little bit lower. The value is still pretty tough to ignore, and it's at a position that I'm happy to take it for. But I think the optimal rate looks pretty right here. If he's going to be in that 30 to 35 range, I'll probably be in the 20 to 25 range. That's still going to have him, not a problem, but it's a little bit of negative leverage, and I'm conscious of it. The only other guy getting ownership in this entire game is Peyton Pritchard. 15% optimal, 15% owned. After that, it is no man's land. Does anything stand out to you here? Do you want to get to this game? Part of me wants to, but I don't know where the value is.
Yeah, so I think the next guy that I'm looking to would be Pritchard, as you mentioned. Right now, he's leading the team in potential assists on the season, about 12 per game. Usage has been decent on him. He hasn't really been shooting the best. So I think he has more upside than what we've seen so far this year. And again, he is the cheapest of the top three guys for Boston. So yeah, I like Peyton Pritchard. I still think that Derek White and Jaylen Brown are in play. They're not getting a ton of love. Derek White, again, the numbers are good. The usage, the potential assists, but he just hasn't been hitting shots either. A 50 fantasy point game is coming soon from Derek White if you can actually have a decent shooting game. And then Jaylen Brown, 8,600 is still viable for me. So all three of those guys I think are in play. On the Philadelphia side, though, the price points have come up. I think Embiid's probably going to be around that 25-minute mark today. He played 23 minutes last game. We should get clarity on that, though, because we have gotten it before each of the games that he's played on what the minutes limit is. The price is up on Edgecombe. The price is up to Maxey. You can still play Maxey. I'm never going to say no to that, but it feels priced about right. So I think more so I'm looking to the Boston side with Pritchard, White, and then Jaylen Brown.
I would like to get some Derek White. I was on him a lot more in those first couple games. It did not go well at all. Hopefully that can correct itself at some point in time. We've got the faintest of interest in Neemias Queta, but again, with this game being relatively early, I'd rather just not have him and have the flexibility later than take my chances on a 2% optimal type dude. And obviously, when it comes to guys like Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, guys that are going to be out there playing 36, if Maxey could play 40 today, he might not be owned or super optimal, but certainly not a name that I'm mad about clicking if he's in a lineup or anything like that. Not much else here. Let's see the FanDuel side of these first two games. So we've got Boston, Atlanta, we've got Philly, and we've got Indy. On the FanDuel end, relatively similar, but one major difference. Walker and Minot both pulling similar ownership on the FanDuel side. Dyson Daniels, though, 36% owned on FanDuel with positive leverage, 6,300 point guard, shooting guard eligible. And then we just have this sea of 10 to 15% owned guys. You get a little bit more of the Philly side. Edgecombe, Oubre, Maxey, Kristaps Porzingis sneaks in a little bit more owned as well. Ray J. Dennis is still sitting here in that same ownership tier. But yeah, that big difference is Dyson Daniels on the FanDuel side. So keep that in mind as we're talking about these games. We've got two down. It's 15 minutes in. Perfect timing so far. Hit that like button if you can, guys. Subscribe to the channel. We've got, 1,100 people in here? Something like that total? Twitter and YouTube? 850 and change. I know a lot of people are out with their kids or just being creeps on Halloween. So we might not have the same crew we normally have, but that doesn't mean the information is going to be any worse. Let's talk about game number 3. And I think you've got some thoughts for this one. The Toronto Raptors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. There may be some news here that we want to discuss. Now we like kind of want to know it because this is not a 7:00 start. So Cleveland, Toronto, we just got an ownership or a projections update. Ownership's coming in. I'm going to give it to you right now because the big takeaway for Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell questionable, Jared Allen questionable. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so for Cleveland, I noticed at shoot-around today that, number one, I didn't see Jared Allen in any of the videos. And then number two, I saw Larry Nance had a starter's jersey on. So that leads me to believe that Jared Allen will not play. And then with Donovan Mitchell, as I'm sure some of you guys know, we'll tweet out, let him know every time he's playing. Usually, and I went back and looked, usually it's around 3 p.m. Central. Currently 4:15. No tweet. You did see there was a beat writer that said he was getting shots up after shoot around, but he didn't say that he participated. And with that hamstring, like he didn't look right at the end of the game last game. So right now it is my assumption that both Mitchell and Jared Allen will not play. It's obviously not a guarantee, but I think that is where I'm leaning right now.
Now, if that happens, obviously there's some ownership already coming into Cleveland. It is going to explode if it happens with both of them. Larry Nance will immediately become one of the highest owned guys on the slate, if not the highest owned guy on the slate. Craig Porter Jr. will look significantly different. There's going to be a trickle down to other guys like Jalen Tyson will look more interesting. This will trickle everywhere. We're already getting close to 30% ownership on Lonzo Ball, 25% ownership to DeAndre Hunter. We have 15 to Mobley, to Porter. We've got 10 to Jared Allen. Even Donovan Mitchell's 10% owned. This is going to be crazy if and when it breaks. I guess, what do you like from Cleveland either way? And then what do you think happens if the news breaks?
Yeah, so either way, I think Lonzo Ball is a solid value. Again, I don't think he would start if Mitchell gets rolled out, but I do think he would have a little bit of a bigger role, more usage, a little bit more ball handling. DeAndre Hunter is someone I'm pretty high on either way, 5,400. Second on the team in usage right now behind Donovan Mitchell. Was pacing for about 32 minutes last game. Potential assists are up on him as well. So I like him either way. I think Evan Mobley is totally fine if both those guys are in at 8,700. Craig Porter Jr., at 3,300. I still think you could look to him as a punt play, assuming both those guys are in. But yeah, if both are out, what I think happens here again is Larry Nance starts just based on shoot around. And then I think that Craig Porter Jr. would also start. So in that scenario, Craig Porter Jr. and Larry Nance would be two of the best values in the slate. Obviously, a lot more usage to guys like DeAndre Hunter and Evan Mobley, who would look great. Jalen Tyson would be way more in play. Obviously, Lonzo Ball looked better there as well. I think Dean Wade would be in play. So Cleveland would probably be the team that I have the most exposure to if both those guys end up not playing.
And all that said, the guy right now that's most owned in this game isn't on Cleveland. He's on Toronto because Jake Puddle is out. Power forward center $3,900 Colin Murray Boyles is 48% owned, 40% optimal, and one of the premier value plays that we have at this moment. Assuming he starts, he doesn't necessarily have to. This could be Sandro Mamukelashvili, but I assume it's Colin Murray Boyles. Looks pretty good as value.
Yeah, I think he'll start too. He was the primary defender on Wemby a couple games ago. Obviously, he started the 5 last game. So even against a big front court, like I still think he's going to start. Now, he was pacing for 17 first half minutes last game, picked up 3rd foul, and then picked up a quick 4th foul to start the second half, subbed out. So if he avoided foul trouble, like he was pacing for about 35 minutes. Now I don't think you project him for that, but I think like 30 plus minutes is certainly in his range of outcomes here at 3,900. And then with Mamukelashvili, so the one thing that does worry me is when Murray Boyles picked up his fourth foul early in the second half, they didn't go to Mamukelashvili. They actually went to Jonathan Mobo and then just kept kind of Mamukelashvili in his normal rotation. So Mamukelashvili, good point per minute player, but that does worry me as of like if CMB gets in foul trouble again, he doesn't necessarily benefit. But yeah, so CMB at around 50%, assuming he starts, I think right now looks like an amazing value. Obviously, if the Cleveland guys get rolled out, I think the ownership will drop a little bit, but yeah, still like him a lot here at sub 4K.
Okay. Do you like anything else here for Toronto? For Toronto, Mamu is 11% owned, as is Emmanuel Quickly, and then there's really nothing else of interest happening for Toronto right now.
Yeah, I think you can play quickly.
Hey, note for you quickly. Joel Embiid will remain limited to around 20 minutes per Nick Nurse.
Okay. Around 20 minutes. I still don't know if I necessarily buy that from Nurse, but we'll see. Yeah. So the rest of Toronto, I think you can play quickly sub 7K at around 10%. I think Scotty Barnes is playable as a contrarian spend up at 4%, but there's nothing else really that I'm looking to for Toronto.
Okay. So moral of the story for this one, guys, we got to pay attention to this Cleveland news because it will change the entire slate if and when it breaks. For the FanDuel people, it's a very different story, as always, because you got to make sure you're getting the right salaries and stuff. Much less ownership here right now. 25% to Evan Mobley at 8,700. Colin Murray Boyles is already 4,300. He's small forward, power forward there, 25% owned. DeAndre Hunter still 25% owned. Lonzo is just 10 on FanDuel. Very different experience. Donovan Mitchell is 20. So keep that in mind. Very different price tags right now. Got another one here. This is going to take us up to that midway point of the slate. New York Knicks at the Chicago Bulls, the undefeated Chicago Bulls. Selfishly here, I bet the Bulls to win their NBA Cup group. So I need them to win this game. I was hoping that based on their schedule, if they could pick up a win here at home against the Knicks, that puts them in a pretty good spot. They had a good draw of home and away games. When it comes to ownership in this game, from a DFS perspective, though, 25% ownership to Cat, around 10 for Jalen Brunson, basically nothing to anyone else. And allegedly, Mitchell Robinson is starting this game.
Is he confirmed? I'm pretty sure he's going to play. Is he confirmed going to start though?
The word that came out earlier was that if he plays, he starts.
Okay.
Is what I think I read. You have me second guessing myself now.
You might be right.
Knicks plan to start Mitchell Robinson on Friday.
Okay. Yeah.
Obi Toppin out 3 months.
I saw that. That's brutal. Yeah, I was just so deep into the Cavs stuff that I was like, okay, I might have missed that. But yeah, so again, I'm expecting Mitchell Robinson to play. I think he's going to be on a limit, obviously, in his first game back. That does, hurt the upside a little bit for Karl-Anthony Towns. Like the rebounding number is going to drop a bit for Cat. But again, it really depends on what exactly that limit is for Mitchell Robinson. So I want to keep an eye on that to decide what I'm going to do with Cat. If Mitchell Robinson can come out and play like 20 minutes, I think that 25% Karl-Anthony Towns currently is a little bit high. If he's going to be like very limited, then a little bit more inclined to get to Cat. So right now it's really just Cat and Brunson getting some ownership. Brunson 8,600. I don't really have any super strong takes on him. I think he's totally fine. I like the matchup a lot. Bulls are a team that I like attacking. So both those guys are in play. And then for Chicago right now, there's not a ton of ownership going to this team. Giddey, Vooch, both around 5%. They're playable in a large field tournament. The prices come up a bit on Matas Buzelis to 6K. That feels about right. Trey Jones, a little bit less than 10%, is a fine filler option. He's been pretty consistent playing around that 30-minute mark. Again, it's really him and Giddey as the primary ball handlers there. And then, like guys like Io and Herter, I just don't think it's necessary again, especially because I do think we're going to get more value opening up here for Cleveland. So, the Bulls spend ups, Giddey, Vooch are playable. And then, do have some interest in Cat and Brunson. But again, I'm keeping an eye on what exactly the limit is for Mitchell Robinson.
My expectation is going to be like 14 minutes, 16 minutes, something I think like really low.
Is a good guess.
Yeah. I don't expect to have much coming out of this one. Like Towns is fine, and being in and around that 15-20% range seems reasonable. Who the hell is at my front door? I'll figure that out later. I like Brunson a little bit more than the ownership. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to be getting much. I just like this spot. Chicago's defense, no matter what it ever ranks, isn't very good. And I think this is the type of matchup that he could play really well in. I don't have anything else to back it up. I mean, we've got him with some negative leverage, so I don't get the sense that it's going to be super like heavy exposure for me, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm slightly over that 12% mark. Let's see FanDuel for Toronto. Actually, we already looked at that one. FanDuel for Knicks and for the Bulls. 22% ownership to Karl Anthony Towns. About 10 for Giddey and Brunson. Guys, it's not chat. I promise you, it's not trick-or-treaters. It's most likely somebody delivering an Amazon package, which is exactly what it was. I'm discounting Okoro and Pat Williams on defense. No. I mean, Okoro's good. Pat Williams isn't. And that's not enough to make up for Josh Giddey and Vooch and most of the other team, or rest of the team, I guess. 4 up, 4 down, man. We've got some interesting later games as well. We've already gotten some of that news. Before we get to those games, however, quick reminder, if you want to sign up at Stokastic, the easiest way for you to do it is to click the link in the description to sign up through one of our partners, and you will get a month or more of our sims for free. If you've never signed up at one of these pick'em sites or sports books and you're eligible to, whether that's Underdog or Better or Sleeper, whether that's BetMGM or FanDuel, DraftKings, Onyx Odds, sign up through the link that you'll click on in the description. There's a big list of stuff that you'll need to do, like, take a screenshot of something, email us. You're not going to pay us a dime. You might make a qualified deposit at that site. Once you let us know, you're going to get a month of the Sims. And if you do it more than once for a couple of these sites, they all stack together. You can get 2, 3, 4 months of the Sims for no cost whatsoever. So we don't have any promo codes or anything right now. You don't need one. You can just sign up through one of these sites and get the Sims for nothing. $0 for your first month. And stack them up if you can. It's the best thing you could do. It's very easy. Los Angeles Lakers are taking on the Memphis Grizzlies today. It's going to be in Memphis. And it appears that Luka Doncic is going to be playing in this one. Not a ton of ownership in this game. About 15% to Cedric Coward, to Ja Morant, and to Luka Doncic. After that, basically nothing. And that's on the FanDuel side, I might add. On the DraftKings side, which is going to be a different look altogether, 15% ownership to Luka Doncic, and then that's it. The highest owned guy in this game that isn't Luka is 3% owned Cedric Coward. And I don't think that's crazy. I can't imagine I'm going to have anything here, assuming this maintains the probable tag and Luka plays. It's him or nobody.
Yep. Total agreement. I think it's basically impossible to get to anyone else from the Lakers, right? Everyone is priced way up from when Luka is out. Luka's back. So it's really like impossible to get to anyone there. And then Marcus Smart also said he's going to play. So that's like one more body in the rotation. For Memphis, I mean, you got Ja and Jaren priced as if they're playing 35 minutes a night, and they're playing like 30 minutes a night. So again, it's what we've talked about all season long here for Memphis. It's just like they're running a very deep rotation, 10 guys. Ja and Jaren are like playing around 30 minutes in competitive games. Yes, those are the two that are going to be leading the way in usage, but they're not priced like they're only playing 30 minutes, right? So
No.
They're a little bit overpriced in my opinion. So I think it's hard to get to those guys. Coward did close over KCP last game, but he's 5,400. I don't think it's necessary to take a shot on that. It is good to see that that's possible, that he can close in a competitive game. But overall, I think this is definitely my least favorite game to get to.
I know one thing. I will not be playing 10K Austin Reeves today.
No, you couldn't pay me to play 10K Reeves.
No. Surely he's going to smash now that we said that, but that's fine. I don't know how you do it.
I took an under on his fantasy score, 48 before the Luka confirmation. So, you already know he's just come out and put up a massive game with Luka, and I'll be pretty tilted.
Yeah, it is inevitable. Malik Monk out on Saturday for personal reasons. I'd love to know what those personal reasons are. Probably not a lot of happiness with his current situation. Hopefully they're good things, and it's like he's having a baby or something. If it's bad, that's not good. All right. So this is what we're going to do right now. All right, we're going to start sending out Saturday news. I don't need that right now. It's Friday at 5:30. Unnecessary. I would love to talk more about this game. I just don't see the angle for it. If these guys are there's no positive leverage. The highest positive leverage play here is 2. It's Marcus Smart, who's 4% optimal and 2% owned. I guess the conversation point is this. What do you want to do with Luka? How does he stack up for you today in relationship to Nikola Jokic or whatever else you're looking for as a pay-up option?
Yeah, I think for me, I would prefer Jokic at the very top to Luka, but I have no issue with 11.5K Luka. He's not going to be on a limit. He's obviously doing everything for the team when he's out there. And again, I think we're going to have more value opening up. So I expect the ownership to go up a little bit on a guy like Luka, and then obviously Jokic too. So totally fine with him. But I guess I don't have a super strong take.
And obviously very ripe to end up with more Luka at 9:10 p.m. tonight Eastern time, depending on how Cleveland breaks and when it breaks. This could just be a late swap where you've created all this salary and all of a sudden you go from, I had 15% Luka, now I have 45 because I had so much salary left over for everything that I was doing. So keep that in mind. We're going to have some pay up options if Cleveland breaks. Anything else here? I wish I had something. I don't. This is the least appealing game on the slate by far.
Yeah, no, there's nothing else for me.
I think this game is sneaky appealing because neither one of these teams play any defense. Now, there is a lot of ownership coming into the Utah-Phoenix game right now. This is in Phoenix. Colin Gillespie, 4,800, point guard only, 50% owned and optimal. Royce O'Neal is second, just shy of 30% ownership. Then we get Keontae George, Devin Booker, and Grayson Allen all at 20. Nurkic and Walker Kessler at 15. And that's about it. Lauri Markkanen coming in at 6. We'll have that conversation after we're done with the rest of these guys. Let's start with Gillespie since he's breaking away from the pack. 50% owned. Helpful that it's in the 10 o'clock game because I don't care if I have 100% of him or at lock. Assuming something happens in Cleveland, that just makes my life easier for moving it around at that point.
Yep. Right now, again, I think he stands out as one of the best values on the slate. I think the ownership will come down if the Cleveland guys get rolled out, but closed last game, 32, 31 minutes over the last couple of games. Ball handling role has been very solid for him. And this team just doesn't have a lot of depth right now. They really don't. So I think Gillespie is going to be, in the high 20s to low 30s minute range. Again, like the matchup for him. So totally agree with the ownership at the moment at 50%. I think he looks like one of the best values on the slate. And then Royce O'Neal is the other guy getting a lot of love, 5,400. Again, he's also playing massive minutes with Dylan Brooks out just because this team just doesn't have any wing depth. 46 minutes in an overtime game and then 35 minutes last game against Memphis. So he's a guy, he's not a high usage player. He's more of a 3-and-D guy, but he can still contribute in a lot of different ways. And so I think he's another good play at his current ownership. Booker at around 20%, no issue with that. Leading the team in usage. Love the upside on him. So top 3 guys for Phoenix, Booker, Royce O'Neal, Colin Gillespie, I think are all good plays.
I have and will have a lot of Utah today. I was over on Keontae George. I was getting some of Yusuf Nurkic. We'll see. I was over on Walker Kessler. I had like 20% of Lauri Markkanen. I'm going to be getting to these Jazz guys right now. And I will certainly have the good chunks of Phoenix because, one, I just think it all looks good. I think this is a great game environment for DFS scoring. It's just horrific defense on both sides. I think it's going to breed a lot of fantasy points. And then two, it's a 10 o'clock start. So even if I'm not happy about this, I'd much rather have it be this game than one of the early games because it's going to allow me to easily swap stuff around if I need. So pre-lock, I'm expecting to be massively overexposed to this game. Where I end up by the time it starts could be a very different conversation. But I love this game for DFS purposes just because of how bad these two teams are.
Yeah, I could definitely see this game shooting out. Any of the main Utah guys, I'm totally fine with. Keontae, Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen. Markkanen only about 5%, but again, leads the team in usage. We've talked about the ball handling role for Keontae George. He has the ball in his hands a ton. Again, potential assists are amazing on him. Nurkic, I think if we don't get the Cleveland value, would be in play for me. Good point per minute, basically playing the non-Kessler minutes, but I think it's going to be a bit tougher to get to him, again, if the Cleveland guys get rolled out. And then what else? Oh, one thing to note, too, for Utah. So they've been running relatively normal rotations this year. We knew last year, like they were just it was really hard to predict Utah rotations. But in the most recent game, you had Keontae George closing, you had Walker Kessler closing, you had Lauri Markkanen closing. Okay, that's normal. Who are the other two closers in a competitive game? EJ Harkless and Cody Williams. They started the fourth quarter. That was their first minutes of the game. They didn't play the first three quarters. They came in, played the entire fourth quarter, and closed. So it worries me for the back end of the rotation. Not that you really have to consider them today, but I did want to mention that of like, oh boy, we're probably gonna have to deal with this headache for the rest of the year of just like not being able to trust the Jazz rotation.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. That was a weird one. Don't need that shit in my life, that's for sure. Let me pull this one up on the FanDuel side for everybody. So we're slowly coming down the home stretch here. Phoenix, Utah. All right. Ownership on the FanDuel side for this game. Colin Gillespie, about 40% owned on FanDuel. So slightly less, but still heavy chalk. Booker, Allen, and Royce O'Neal are all in the 20s. Booker a little bit closer to 30. Royce O'Neal a little bit closer to 20. And then just Keontae George at 11%. I would happily take a $7,800 MPE Markkanen in there at 6% ownership. No reason he can't nuke this Phoenix team. They don't have good players. There's no Dylan Brooks out there to slow him down. This is a really nice spot if you want to put up points. Team Utah for these matchups against other shit teams, that's for sure.
I wanted to mention one thing too. I was just looking at the spread. It's continuing to move towards Toronto. It's now 5.5 at some spots, 6. So again, kind of an indication too that one or both of Mitchell and Allen are going to set.
As I mentioned to you before the show, but I didn't say during the show, I had it at 8.5 with both guys in. So that is leading me to believe that we are getting both of those dudes out for this one. So prepare yourselves for Cleveland chaos. And prepare yourselves for the Denver Nuggets in Portland. 239 total, taking on the Blazers. There's very minimal ownership coming in here. 15% to Nikola Jokic. Single digits to everybody else. But we are waiting on news. Chris Murray is questionable. That's not the news we're waiting on. Time Lord is questionable. Exciting news. Not important. The big one is Jamal Murray, questionable. And that could really change up what we've got in this one. But if he plays, doesn't strike me as a very appealing matchup.
Yeah, so with Jamal Murray, someone asked if he was at shoot-around. I didn't see anything on Twitter about Denver shoot-around, so don't know if he participated or not. Again, that Q tag is pretty important. It is a late game too. Now, if he does not play, I think there's one of two options for Denver. I think the most likely would be that Bruce Brown would start, but I think it's also in the range of outcomes. They dust off Jalen Pickett and start him. We saw that last year when Jamal Murray is out. Instead of going to the backup point, they actually went to Pickett in the starting lineup. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure. But yeah, Jokic, I am higher on than the field at 15%. Again, I think this number is going to come up, in a bit once we get Cleveland news. But yeah, I like Jokic a lot here. I think he's my favorite guy to get to at the top. Obviously, I have no issue with Luka, but yeah, I like Jokic a lot here. The one downside is, again, Portland's solid defensively. I do think like you might see some Kamara on Jokic. We saw that last year, but still, it's Nikola Jokic. He's basically matchup proof.
Prior to this show starting, my sim results had 0 shares of Nikola Jokic. I want to be very clear. I don't like that. I'd rather have him. That feels gross. But I'm kind of light on him right now. And in turn, I'm very light on this entire game. If Jamal Murray ends up out, that will obviously change. Everything moves around. Jokic's rates change dramatically when Murray is not on the floor. So that would move around and I would end up on him. But I don't think that I'm going to have much of anything from Nikola Jokic today. And likely not much of anything in this entire matchup. The most likely scenario is that I end up with stupid random shares of Jovel. And I don't want that either. I think that's my most likely scenario is like 3% of Jovel. If Murray's in.
Do you have anything on the Portland side or no?
No. I Drew Holiday's 7,200. What am I supposed to do with that price tag? He was like 4,400 some days last year.
Yeah, he's priced right now for his role for sure.
Blake Wesley, $3,500 punt. Like that's the type of stuff I'm looking at in this matchup.
Yeah, I think that like $6,100 Klingon's playable. Again, I think if he avoids foul trouble, he could see around 30 minutes and the ceiling's there. And if they do go Kamara on Jokic, then a little bit of a better chance that he can stay on the court. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's at least playable. But like Portland overall, I think like there's definitely like no standouts looking at their salaries.
$5,800 Jeremy Grant with the MPE is like strikes me as the type of tournament play I swap into when I like don't have a choice later tonight. Hopefully it works.
Yeah,
Denny disrespect really nice has to stop. What Denny disrespect? He's 8,300. He's just too expensive. I love Denny.
Yeah. Denny feels right. Again, he does have a nice role, but like again, the price point's about right. And then you mentioned Jeremy Grant. Again, he has a nice role off the bench. Definitely a 6 man of the year candidate. So yeah, like he's in play too as a contrarian option. But yeah, overall, there's not a ton of standout plays in this game.
Touched on this earlier, but Extra QT asked, do you guys think this being the first cup game that players will play extended minutes? I don't at all. Like, do I think one team might do that? Yeah, absolutely. Like, I can't know that, but they haven't done that in the past.
Yeah,
When we get to like the game 4 and game 5 of the group, when there's like elimination concerns, that's where you could start to see an extra minute or two, or starters being really rude about blowouts. But they don't typically do it at the beginning. And it's certainly not predictable.
Yeah, I think that like it's more likely like later on that you could get like some playoff type rotations, but I think early on I would be pretty surprised about teams running like a much different rotation or to like just playing their guys like a lot longer. Like I don't think that's going to happen to start.
Yeah. We've got one final game to go here before we get to it, so this doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Tell the people where to find you. What have you got going on Tails?
Yeah, you guys can find me over on Tails. Currently posting some free content for props, DFS, and then also premium. So yeah, DFS content, props, sportsbook, pick'em stuff. I'm posting some prop threads there as well. So that's where you guys can find me. Also on Twitter as well.
Give them a follow. Grab some free picks. Check out the VIP access if you're looking for more goods across the board. All access props, all access DFS. Become a DK VIP. It's all right here. Don't stop there. Follow a bunch of people. Free picks are great picks. You can go to the free picks feed whenever you want. Go to the Explore page, and it's just going to be populated. Greg just hit one for Anthony Simons points. Greg's hitting a ton of them for his bankroll challenge, so you're going to see a ton of individual NBA picks if that's what you're looking for. Final game, the late night hammer. 10:30 start. New Orleans Pelicans at the LA Clippers. I do not like the Pelicans as a basketball team. Unfortunately, we do have to talk about them. I somehow lost the boom bust tool. I don't know how I managed to do that. I guess I brought tails up in that tab. Wasn't paying attention. What are you going to do? 13-minute ago update. We're good to go. Pels, Clippers. Not a ton of ownership. Kawhi Leonard at 20. James Harden at 10. Ivica Zubac at 10. John Collins at basically nothing. Jeremiah Fears sneaking in at 8. It's not a great spot, but it seems like if you're going to get anything, it's coming from the Clippers.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Clippers side is much easier to get to. I'm a bit higher on those top 3 guys, I think, than the field. I mean, I love the matchup.
Okay.
Kawhi, Harden, Zubac. Again, I just want to attack teams against the Pelicans. So 10% Harden, 20% Kawhi, 10% Zubac. I think all 3 are pretty good options here. They laid an egg the other night at, elevated ownership. So maybe people are not as inclined to go there, but I still think both those guys, the top 2 and Zubac are good options on this slate. And then we have to talk about the Pelicans. I could not believe what Willie Green did last game, starting the dust of DeAndre Jordan over Messi. That's like a fireable offense in my opinion. So I don't think that's going to happen again. I think they're going to go back to Messi, but I was absolutely shocked about that.
That is a bonkers decision, dude. How do you... no one wanted DeAndre. Like, he couldn't make a team heading into this year. Start anybody else. Lunacy. Truly lunacy. Ew. You want to play the Zion Williamson experience at 9,200?
At 1%, I think you can take a shot at him. If the game does stay competitive, you're probably seeing a pretty big game from Zion. So, sure, at current ownership, I think you can go there in a large field tournament. Jeremiah Fears, I think, is probably the easiest to get to, assuming he starts. He started the last couple of games. He played well last game, so I think he starts again. He did have a nice stat line, but most of that was in garbage time. He played all but the last couple of minutes. However, with this game having blowout risk, I think that does raise his floor a little bit too. Is like, if this game does get out of hand, okay, well, at least, he can still be on the court if the game does get out of hand. And he's got shooting guard eligibility. So of all the Pelicans right now on the slate, again, I don't really trust anyone. I think assuming he starts, he's the guy that I like the best. I
agree with you there. It's crazy they traded for Jordan Poole and they're already not starting him.
I know.
Let's be very clear. He's way better than Jeremiah Fears. This is not a current day basketball question. They're trying to do this, but boy, oh boy, would you like to go back in time and not trade for Jordan Poole so you don't have his contract next year if you're already not going to play him?
Right. I thought
worst front office in the league, folks.
I thought this is something that could have happened later on in the season. But the fact that it's happening after a couple games is crazy. So again, I'm not sure what Willie Green's doing, to be honest. I know there's been some comments about players being a little bit unhappy too about the coaching decisions.
Fears is popping a little bit for me in my data. I wouldn't be surprised if I have a little bit more than that 8%. I actually think I'm going to have a little bit of Chris Dunn as a $3,700 value play. Don't follow me for that one. It's, I think I might end up with 8 or 9. He just seems to be the 3K guy that I might end up with a couple shares of. I just want to say that out loud, just in case I could clip this later. I should clip the fact that I had a ton of Bam Adebayo from yesterday's show. All right. I'm going to clear this filter, and we're going to look at the slate as a whole from top to bottom. 2 men named Colin are leading DraftKings in ownership. 50% to Colin Gillespie, 50% to Colin Murray Boyles. 2 guys are in the 30s. Jarris Walker and Josh Minot. The next 2 names are Lonzo Ball and Royce O'Neal. This slate is gross at the top. Gillespie, Murray, Boyles, Walker, Minot, Ball, O'Neal. I mean, you want to include DeAndre Hunter. The first time you get to somebody that's real is Devin Booker.
Right. It is pretty funny looking at the ownership right now. It's like, this is something that would be like, you would think it'd be like late season NBA, seeing like these guys all at the top.
What's that? 2, 4, 6. The top 7 guys in ownership are 4,800, 3,900, 5,500, 45, 4K, 54, 54. And we haven't even had the Cleveland nonsense happen yet.
Right. Which also, it kind of surprises me that like the guys at the very top are not getting.
We are having it happen. Donovan Mitchell out.
Let's go. All right.
Jared Allen out.
All
that
right,
news came too early. Too early.
It did come too early. But my player props and my Raptors plus 7.5 ticket are very pleased with that. So
for those of you just tuning in, hearing this information, Donovan Mitchell is out for tonight. Jared Allen is out for tonight. And the Cleveland Cavaliers scenario just got a whole lot more interesting. We're expecting Larry Nance to step into that starting role. You're assuming Craig Porter, or are you assuming by some weird way Tyrese Proctor? I just assume Lonzo just stays on the bench.
Yep. No, I think it's gonna be Craig Porter Jr. and I think it's gonna be Larry Nance that move in the starting lineup here.
This is gonna be fascinating. They got a lot of minutes to go around now. I still have 41 more to hand out to these guys, and they're going to be going to Naquan Tomlin and Luke Travers. But the minutes that end up going to Craig Porter Jr. and Larry Nance are going to create some of the best value plays that exist on today's slate. Fun time to get that news. We could actually like talk about it. Mm-hmm. Walker Ashley asked if Larry Nance is playable. He's going to be the highest owned guy on the slate, probably, or at least pretty damn close to it.
If not the highest, right there. He's going to be one of the highest owned plays and one of the best plays for sure. I do think that you'll see Thomas Bryant in the rotation. I think he'll back up. He'll play the backup center. But still, like I think you're probably expecting Nance like around 25 minutes or so, and sub 4K with power forward center eligibility. He's going to look great.
Yeah, I'm trying to just throw some minutes on these guys just to like fill out to the best of my abilities right now, so I can take a look and find out how I actually think this looks. Man, there's so many minutes to go around. It's crazy. All right, we'll put some placeholders in here on Travers and Tomlin. And just as a quick, without adjusting any rates or messing with anything here, I guess I should probably pull all of these. I mean, I've got just quick back of the envelope. Craig Porter goes to like 29 fantasy points, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe high. Even still, that's going to be great value for where he's at. Larry Nance, I got him to 24, which he's 3,200 or something like that. These guys are going to be massively owned once we get this update.
Yeah, I expect, I think that CPJ and Nance will be your two highest owned plays. I'm curious to see where the ownership's going to land on Mobley and Hunter. They're also going to be very popular too. And then I'm also curious what the ownership is on Tyson, because I think he's going to go a little bit like overlooked. But to me, like he is way more in play now, just because I think he's going to have a much bigger role without Donovan Mitchell there. So like I'm very curious to see like what the ownership gap is with him versus like Craig Porter Jr.
There is going to be a very distinct push and pull for a lot of these guys. Like you're going to be able to take some weird stands and hope that you have the right side of it. Like I'm interested to see what happens to Royce O'Neal's ownership now that we're creating some of this, now that he's just sort of like a low point per dollar, like a low point per minute type dude. You would expect guys like Booker and Siakam to rise now. I expect Luka and Jokic to rise now. We have more than enough value to do whatever you want in a lineup today. You want to have two pay-ups, we have more than enough now between Murray, Boyles, and whatever shows up from Cleveland. Then that says nothing for like the rest of these 4K guys.
Yeah, someone mentioned about Dean Wade possibly starting. Like, I think it's possible, but I think based on Nance having the starter jersey on at shoot around, that he's the more likely candidate. And like thinking about it too, I think it makes sense from a rotation perspective, because then you can play Thomas Bryant as the backup five. Whereas like Nance comes off the bench, then like it doesn't really make a ton of sense. You have kind of two backup centers on the bench. So I think it just makes a little bit more sense for Nance to start than Dean Wade. But it's still possible that Wade could start.
Look, there's a shit ton of minutes to go around on Cleveland. These guys are all getting some sort of chunk of it. Not to mention, like, I don't think they want to stretch Dean Wade. Like, anytime they try to give that guy more minutes, his body can't handle it. Like, I would not be surprised at all if they just want to hold him in this 20 to 22 minute range. And we don't hear about him having a minutes limit because he's Dean Wade and it doesn't matter. But that might be possible.
He's never really he's again not like a great point per minute player either. So I do think he's in consideration, but he's definitely like far down the list of like guys I want to get to for Cleveland.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised at all if he ended up starting. That wouldn't be a shocking turn of events here, but I don't think it matters all that much.
Yep, agree.
Either way, we're going to get a projections update. It's 6:00. There's an hour to go until lock. NBA Live Before Lock is coming up after this. They're going to be able to break it all down. They're going to have all the updated projections for you guys. The night doesn't end there, though. Greg and I will be live on Playback tonight at 7 p.m. watching these 7:00 and 7:30 games. So we'll see the start of Toronto-Cleveland, however that breaks. We'll be watching probably Boston-Philly, depending on what the national TV schedule looks like. But we're going to be on Playback tonight, playback.tv/Stokastic. There's absolutely no reason you shouldn't come and watch the games with us. What are you going to do? Halloween stuff? Nah. You can sit at home and watch myself and Greg for an hour. Clearly better than Halloween. What do you got going on tonight?
I don't know. I might meet up with some friends after the start of the slate, but I don't really have any like plans. So don't think I'll be dressing up for Halloween. But I saw someone was able to get Toronto +7. No, that's a really good bet because it's currently 3.5 right now. So you got some nice value on that.
Let's see what it moved to when I quickly changed everything. 1.5.
That's what you have the line at?
Yeah. Now that's with me like not tweaking any additional minutes or anything like that. So that could be a point in either direction depending on who I think's getting more. But yeah, immediately taking those guys off, it cratered. No surprise there. No surprise there. I see Greg Ehrenberg and Eric Lindquist just chilling on the back end, waiting to take over for Live Before Lock. We've got 1,700 people in YouTube right now. Show them some Halloween love. Hit the like button, run that number up. Let them come into this room to do that show with a sizable like count. I don't think we're asking for a lot on Halloween. That's our trick or treat. You don't got to give us candy. Give us likes. None of us are dressed up, by the way, though. I guess Eric's dressed like a golfer. Close enough. About all I can do. Greg's not allowed to wear costumes. Greg, I don't know how you're not wearing a police jumpsuit or the prisoner jumpsuit today for Halloween. That was perfect for you. Surely one of those shitty Halloween stores sell those in bundles in a converted strip mall. Fumble the bag, boys. Fumble the bag. I couldn't even tell you the last time I wore a Halloween costume.
Really? Yeah, I think did I wear one last year? Or maybe I didn't. Maybe it was 2 years ago. But yeah, I can't say I'm like a huge Halloween guy. I guess from time to time I'll wear a costume, but definitely not a big Halloween guy.
I'm sure there's been one since then, but I feel like the last time I dressed up for Halloween, my wife and I were Lady and the Tramp.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And then we lived with her best friend, so she was like a giant bowl of spaghetti. That's 10 years ago.
It's been that long?
At least for me. I can't think of a scenario where I've been dressed up for something else, but I'm probably wrong. No one cares, though. But the deeper dive has completed. Thank you guys for being here. Reminder, link in the description. If you want to sign up at Stokastic, you guys can do that. And you're not going to have to pay us a dime. You sign up through one of our affiliates, whether that's a sportsbook or a pick'em site. As long as they're on that list and you follow those instructions, you're going to get a month of Sims, and you can stack those offers on top of each other if you're looking for more. Greg, Eric, come on in, boys. The water's fine.
Yeah, so Josh trying to pretend that he is not going to go try to push the boundaries and dress up in yellow face or something like that. He's been hiding the entire time that he has some horrific Halloween costume planned.
You're setting me up here, and I'm going to go ahead and not say
the first 5 things that went into his mind. You could watch it happen in real time. That was fun.
Yeah, I'm just going to... Happy Halloween, everybody.
You didn't have a Brittany Griner costume put on, Josh?
No, I'm going to go as
a NBA player.
I wish I could remember that dude's name, the Russian arms dealer that we traded her for. We didn't even get any draft picks back.
We did do that. That's a thing we did. DK
DFS, get out.
It's something like that. It's like 4 letters long.
Come on, I got to update some stuff now with Cleveland, so have a good day, guys.
DK's going to drop off before Josh says anything else, and he gets attached to Josh's comments. You guys get out of here. Go enjoy your Halloween. It is time for Eric and I to do live before lock. So do us a favor, you guys are watching, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Josh mentioned it before. Not only are Eric and I going to bring you guys all the way up into lock for the next hour, but after that, Josh and I are going to be over on Playback, and it's an 8-game slate. We've already got some nonsense as per usual. Right before we started, Eric, we had the Cavs guys ruled out. No Jared Allen, no Donovan Mitchell today. I believe projections just got updated for that as well, which let's see. Yes, they did. So we can look at the updated player projections. Ownership should be coming in a couple minutes as well. But Eric, how is your Halloween going so far?
Yeah, it's pretty chill so far. Not a lot going on. I've just been working. I had a lot of NFL stuff to get caught up on for the week. Of course, I dropped Kyle Monangai. Is that how you say it? The last name for Chicago Bears earlier in the week. And, well, should have kept him. He looks pretty damn good. He's going to be our mega chalk for Sunday. That's for sure. So year-long stuff. I made one mistake in one league, but overall, just went through that slate, started putting together my video, and now ready. Oh, really?
There we go. Eric Eric showed up dressed as Steve Mariucci this year for Halloween. Shout out to Eric. Good costume. You look exactly like him.
Better than this comment. Fuck you, Albert Simmons.
I'm so happy somebody said that, because I was about to bring that up as well. You should have showed up as Caitlin Clark.
Shut up.
The people would have, I guarantee, absolutely, Charles Barkley, guarantee that would have gone viral. People would have gotten so excited on Twitter if you showed up in a Caitlin Clark jersey and dressed up as Eric Clark, or what was it? Caitlin Lindquist. That was the Caitlin Lindquist. If that would have been your costume for Halloween, people would have gone apeshit for that. Guaranteed. You're muted.
We'll save it for next year. Now the mower was going by me, so I just had to turn it silent for a second. Leave me alone.
All right. So let's see if that little preamble gave us some time for ownership. Perfect. Exactly what I was hoping for. So we've got projections and ownership. By the way, some of the stuff I do, it is not without cause or reason. I was waiting for the ownership to come through so that we had just enough time to give you guys some entertainment.
Yeah, but then you ruined it by talking about it. You ruined it by talking about it. You don't talk about it. You just do it. You just do the thing. You just kill time.
No.
Just move on. You don't have to say, "Oh, why? Look at me. I'm so smart. I killed time."
No. You gotta reveal the curtain sometimes. That's what I like about Penn and Teller. They show how the tricks are done. So here's what we got. Ownership, player projections. This is all updated. Let's start with the player projections. Evan Mobley is now at 52 fantasy points at $8,700. You got DeAndre Hunter at 36 fantasy points at $5,400. Larry Nance, 26 fantasy points at $3,200. Lonzo is at 26 fantasy points and $4K. Oh my God. Porter, 25 fantasy points at $3,300. You got Jalen Tyson, 25 fantasy points at $4,200. Eric, this team is going to be massively chalky. I don't know any way around it, though.
No, you're just playing them. I think the only thing to really bring into consideration is like Evan Mobley. There's at least an opportunity cost attached to him that isn't attached to everybody else, and it's purely because of what the price tag is. We have Jokic. There's a potential of Murray being out. You got to know what happens to Nikola Jokic when Jamal Murray is out. It goes nuclear. He is nearly going to be projected for 70 fantasy points, probably close to 70 fantasy points, if not on the dot. I think you just have to keep that in the back of your mind. So, like, I have Evan Mobley in everything right now. I bet everything to the moon because I was confident that Donovan Mitchell was going to be out about an hour ago. It was one of those things where you're just kind of waiting. And the longer it goes on, the longer you don't get the let him know tweet. It just becomes second nature for me. You probably saw it in Tails. I fired everything. Prize Picks, Underdog, every betting site, Onyx Odds, everything that I possibly could, fired it up. But Evan Mobley, from a DFS perspective, is 8,700 and nobody else is expensive. So, like, that's my big thing that I've got in the back of my mind is, like, I want to play as much Jokic as possible because that's what Craig Porter Jr. does. That's what Larry Nance Jr. does. That's what Lonzo Ball does. But Mobley needs to put up 55. Like, you can't get by with Evan Mobley putting up 45 today, Greg.
No, you would absolutely, especially because he's priced up at $8,700 on DraftKings. And by the way, ownership projections right here as well. You guys will see nearly 70% ownership to Nance, Mobley 55% owned, Hunter 54% owned, Craig Porter just under 50% owned, Lonzo just under 40% owned. We'll go to FanDuel here as well. But your point is absolutely taken where the margin for error, it's fairly low for these inexpensive guys. Because let's say Porter doesn't hit his projection. He can miss it by 6 points, and you're still getting 20 fantasy points at him at $3,200. Still looking okay. Certainly less margin for error for somebody like Mobley, who is $8,700 over on DraftKings. And then you guys will see on FanDuel, he is also the same price at $8,700. As far as ownership goes on FanDuel, 61% for Mobley, 57% for Hunter, 39% going to Nance. And then you got just under 20% ownership to Ball, Porter, and Jalen Tyson. So what's your just general initial thoughts on all of the ownership that's going to the Cleveland guys? Who is your favorite play overall from the team? And then who's a chalk guy who maybe you could go without tonight?
Assuming he starts, Larry Nance is unfadable to me. He's 3,200. He's a good fantasy producer. He had the starter's jersey on this morning. He's going to play north of 20 minutes. And that at 3,200 with power forward center eligibility is so hard for me to get away from. The second part is just kind of figuring out, all right, if Craig Porter Jr. starts, how do you possibly not play Craig Porter Jr. at 3,300? With both of those guys, 32 and 3,300, this becomes an automatic stars and scrubs slate to me. This becomes automatically how much Luka, how much Jokic. We've talked about this for years now, years and years and years. These are the kind of slates where I will just ramp up the exposure to all of those guys, all the expensive guys, and I will just let the chips fall where they may because people don't get to them as much as they should. Now, I will say this, you're going to have Lonzo Ball as well. I don't know if there's like a crazy minutes upside for him. So like the two guys I'm really taking a look at, now their props I'm on, and obviously that's going to look fantastic no matter what because of their rates. But like the Mobley piece we've talked about, but like Lonzo Ball, is there an extra layer to his minutes that can exist here because of what they've done? They've coddled him in Chicago, coddled him in Cleveland. He's just so injury prone. And I don't know if he can get up to 28 minutes. And so for me, that just becomes like, if he's going to be showing up in like half of the field's lineups or 40% of the field's lineups, I think he's the guy that I can make the best case for just removing from the equation. He's a great fantasy producer. Don't get me wrong, but I think the two you really have to look long and hard at are Evan Mobley because of price and Lonzo Ball because of what those minutes potentially could not be. And, you know, I think that's where Jalen Tyson probably becomes a little bit more appealing at 4,200 to me if nobody really wants to be firing him up. 16%. I know we don't have a great optimal percentage on him. DeAndre Hunter just looks epic and awesome as well. Not a lot that's going to get away from me there, but Mobley and Nance and Craig Porter Jr., two auto plays as long as they're starting. Mobley and Ball, the two guys I can make the best case for potentially being underweight to on Cleveland.
Yeah, I actually feel the exact same way as you as far as guys to be underweight to the field to. And for the exact same reasons too, there's so much value that's just opened up from Cleveland. Yep. And as far as Lonzo Ball goes, you know, I see the same way as you. We've got him projected for 26 minutes. What's the most he could possibly play? Which, once again, I understand it's all the exact same thing that you just said. I don't know, but my intuition is that it's not 30 plus minutes unless he starts. Right. If he starts, then totally different scenario. Then I feel way differently. And I kind of hope we don't get that starting lineup until after lock. I think that would just make the slate a little bit more fun. It would give Josh and I some late swapping to do over on the Playback show after this ends. But I feel the exact same reasons. Same Evan Mobley at $8,700. We got all this value that opened up from Cleveland that now we have the scenario where it allows us to pay up for anybody. I'm updating everything in the Sims of right now. I'm going to get to a lot of Mobley still, but my best guess is I'll probably be like 40% Evan Mobley or something like that. But I'll see for sure once I get everything updated here now that we got projections and ownership update and I can run it through the Sims.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is very important. I am not saying fade Mobley and Ball. Mm-hmm. They are both fully capable of destroying in limited time. Like 35 minutes of Mobley, 1.5 fantasy point per minute producer, just going to Hulk slam in a lot of situations in this spot. Lonzo Ball, he could put up 35 in 22 minutes. He is fully capable of that, especially when you don't have Donovan Mitchell out on the floor. Allen to a lesser extent, but I'm going to be underweight to them at their current ownership. I have to find some kind of paths of deviation away from the field here. And for me, we have that one game waiting in the wings. We always talk about late swap on this show. And there's just no way that Jamal Murray wouldn't open up something, whether that ends up being Bruce Brown, whether that's Pickett. And then I would just want to have like 100% Nikola Jokic and say, give me the raw points, move on with my day, and just not really have to think twice about it. Like for me, even if I get stuck with a ton of Jokic, I don't care. And that's what I'm already getting when I'm playing two sub 3,400 guys. I don't even need Alonzo Ball at 4K. I need fantasy points. I need 40 fantasy points from like every roster position. So this is kind of one of those interesting slates where we have a ton of value. You could play 5 or 6 Cleveland pieces. And I don't even think it's like that necessarily wrong, but does it give you the ultimate upside? I don't believe so. And so that's where I'm going to try to trim it down to like 3-4 in most of those lineups. Mix and match some Denver pieces that might work. We have other value. Atlanta's playing without Trae Young. Not all of the tags have changed enough. We've got pieces, but just really wanted to talk through this one because I feel pretty confident in saying Mobley and Ball are the most volatile that could show up in your lineups.
We've got a couple of other questions, and I'm going to answer some of these from Discord a little bit out of order, simply because some of them are pertinent to the Cavaliers, and it just makes sense to kind of group all those questions together. So I'm going to answer the Cavs questions that we've got in Discord, which, by the way, is like 90% of the questions that are in there. And then we'll go and we'll talk about some of the other questions that are sitting there waiting for us. So this one, not surprising. This has actually been asked multiple times in different ways in Discord. Mike asking, is 4 Cleveland guys too many? Bando wants to know how many Cavs is too many. So instead of answering all these ones individually, just is there an amount of players from the Cavs that you think is too many to have in an individual lineup?
So I'm sitting here building. I was building like out iterations in the single lineup sim. Is it possible to just pull that up right now? Because I do think that this is the best way to go about explaining it. If you need to pull up another tab while I'm just kind of talking and filling time, so be it. Fine. But I think 5 is viable. I do think 5 is viable. If I do that, I probably want to have one of the chalkier. I mean, they're going to look far less chalky in our update, but what were chalky pieces on the Toronto side, just hoping this game stays somewhat intact and just kind of game stack it. But I think 5 is legitimately in play. I do think you really want to think about this as far as like Jokic, Doncic. Those are your 2 guys that from a raw fantasy perspective just look so much different than everybody else on this slate. So if we start off the build where we kind of have Jokic, Doncic, Craig Porter Jr., Larry Nance, those are 4 guys that I think in cash, I think 4 guys that you're playing in tournaments, 4 guys in any format that you could possibly play. As far as putting the other Cleveland pieces around, it just really comes down to like positionality. DeAndre Hunter, small forward, as is Jalen Tyson. With only small forward, that's a lot of overlap in lineups that you could end up avoiding by just playing one of them. And so I think in single entry, what I'm leaning towards is just playing the DeAndre Hunter side because of what the raw fantasy points are. And I don't need extra savings. So I like the Hunter, Nance, Craig Porter Jr. And then if you want to go Ball, I don't completely hate it. If you want to try to find another contrarian piece from the Cleveland side, I don't hate it. But like 3 or 4, I think is going to kind of be the chalk way that most people do it. But I get a little nervous in like single entry, Greg, of going Hunter and Tyson because you really need both of them to go. And there's only 3 lineup spots for them. So I don't know if you have anything to add as far as like the way you'd want to go about it, but like I've just been screwing around in the lineup sim, simming out stuff, 5-10% randomness, and just building over and over again Colin Gillespie shows up in a lot of those. I'm fine with that. But like, I do want to avoid Hunter and Tyson lineups in single entry.
All right. So I followed along everything you said, built a core of players, which is, most of the lineup: Luka, Ball, Hunter, Nance, Jokic, Porter. And I mean, even with Luka and Jokic in the same lineup, we still have $5,300 left for the final two spots. So I set this to 5% randomness, and I'll press complete the lineup. And that gives us Jarace, kind of what you said. You still end up getting to a lot of Gillespie here. So that's what we've got. Jarace Walker and Colin Gillespie showed up. Here, I'll set this to large contest. I'll put it to 30% to first, just because that's in line with what the big GPP is today. And then I'll run the sim and see how it looks. I have a feeling this is probably, it projects so well that I'm sure it's going to sim out well also. For me, 57.5% sim ROI. So for myself, if you do not have, here's where things are different. Not all, how many players can you have from the Cavs? Not all answers are the same for this reason. If you don't have Evan Mobley, it's so much easier for all those players to conceivably hit value, right? And then you could for sure see a scenario where, all right, let's go to the Cleveland guys. All right, Larry Nance, $3,200. Craig Porter, $3,300. Lonzo Ball, $4K. You've got DeAndre Hunter at $5,400. And then maybe threw in, like Tyson, Dean Wade, one of these other cheap guys. Is it unrealistic to think that Nance, Porter, Ball could all score 20 to 25 fantasy points each? Maybe Ball the 25 mark and then 20 each for Nance and Porter. That's not all that crazy of outcomes. And considering, if you got 20 fantasy points out of Larry Nance at $3,200, pretty live to be in the winning lineup. I know that's short of his projection, but he just projects so well at a cheap price point. If you get 20 plus out of Porter, 20 plus out of Nance, they're both pretty likely to be in a winning lineup for tonight. So if you're looking at Nance and Porter in that lineup and a couple other punt guys and not Evan Mobley, you could see a scenario where 5 Cavs ends up working out. But if one of your Cavs is going to be Evan Mobley, another one's going to be Andre Hunter, then probably no more than 4 or 3 Cavs.
Yeah, that Colin Murray character, that's probably the guy that I do want to come along for the ride to some extent in some of those builds if I'm going to go to 5. If I'm playing single entry today and I end up with 5 Cavs, you best believe I'm going to have a Toronto piece, because it's just, you're asking for a nuclear game environment in addition for everybody to hit value. Like, you're asking for 2 things to happen to some extent with 4. And, the process of the Mobley that we've talked about, where it's like, all right, there are super ceilings that exist with 2 specific players. And, can you go one of those plus Mobley who goes for 60? Yeah, that definitely makes sense. But like, let's say Mobley goes for 55 and that's above his projection. Well, if Jokic and Doncic just hit if they hit their mean outcome or their median outcome, I feel pretty confident, Greg, that like you don't need 5 Cavs here and you're probably in trouble finding some kind of differentiation against the field with it. So yeah, I'm going to say the stock answer is 3.5 Cavs per lineup to some extent. And you can take that for whatever you want. Just think about this from a GPP perspective. If you're watching us every single day, you're not an idiot. You know kind of how to get leverage. You understand what the field's doing to some extent, and you've got the tools here at Stokastic to be able to make it easier on you. I'm just such a big fan of just jamming Nance Porter Jr. and figuring it out from there.
And by the way, our projected starting lineup on the projected starting lineup page, it is Craig Porter Jr., Jalen Tyson, DeAndre Hunter, Dean Wade, Evan Mobley. So if anybody asks, Porter starting, not Lonzo Ball, just know that is what we are currently projecting. Porter, Tyson, Hunter, Dean Wade, Evan Mobley. That's our projected starting 5 at the moment for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So let's get to the rest of your guys' questions. I know we spent a lot of time on Cleveland at the top of the show, but that is overwhelmingly the most important part of the slate right now. Next question, it is from Coach. Coach DFS wants to know, for Halloween tonight, who are the single entry must plays for today? All right, so must plays, I'm going to say, let's get to my lineups. All right, Nance, Hunter for me. Porter's going to be another one. So those 3. I don't think you have to have Luka and Jokic. I think you have to have one of those 2, though.
Correct.
As a pay-up option. And
you're not coming into this slate without playing one of them in every lineup. Like, I feel pretty confident in saying that.
I have some lineups. I have a total of right now about 70% exposure to Luka and Jokic together. So I definitely have some lineups without them. But if I was just building one single entry lineup, I would have at least one of them in it.
Yeah, agreed. That's more of what I was saying. I suppose, like, I'm sure I'll get one or two out of 150 that don't have them both, but more than likely I'm going to have one of the two in every lineup and then two of two in a majority of them. That's my guess.
CXRXSN wants to know from Discord, any priorities in the first two games for single entry or okay fading? All right, so the first two games on the slate are Atlanta, Indiana. I like Jarius Walker a good amount in that game. Not going to say he's a must play or anything like that, but he's certainly somebody I like. Pascal Siakam also, I think, is a pretty solid spend up, but once again, nobody you have to play from that game. And then Boston, Philly, I don't have very much exposure to Boston, Philly. A couple shares of Peyton Pritchard in here. Yeah, so I don't have it. There's nothing you have to play from the first two games on the slate.
Agreed.
Yeah, nothing else to add to that. Next question is from Mr. Cool Cam. He wants to know favorite players at each position for a FanDuel single entry, and then also one player for leverage from the Cavs shock. All right, so this is a fun way to look at the Cavs as well. And then I'm running FanDuel Sims right now. I've got DraftKings Sims done on my computer, but I'm running the FanDuel Sims right now. So I'll answer the other part of the question first, Eric, which is we've talked about the chalky pieces from the Cavs. Is there a contrarian Cavs guy that you're looking to get to for today?
Yeah, one in particular. I don't feel especially confident in it. I think it could go very, 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 very poorly. But Thomas Bryant, he is a flat 3K Thomas Bryant. And there's a world where if I'm going to build a lineup or two out of 150 that doesn't have Larry Nance, it's probably going to have Thomas Bryant as opposed to Dean Wade. Dean Wade is not a good fantasy producer. He does have the positionality, small forward, power forward. He's not pulling a ton of ownership, and we do have a higher optimal percentage on him. But in the interest of 30 plus fantasy points being my interest, Thomas Bryant has that in him. If this becomes like a 24-22 kind of a split, 24-20 type split, I'm just leaving 4 minutes out for like small lineups because that's very live against Toronto, especially without Jakob Poeltl on the other side. But Thomas Bryant at 3K, 1.2 fantasy point per minute producer. And if there's foul trouble or something that happens to Larry Nance, Thomas Bryant is surely going to be in a lineup or two of mine and probably going to get close to like the 10% number because of how much I respect his upside.
Jalen Tyson for me. Only $4,200. He's not as cheap as the other Cavs guys, but because the other Cavs cheap guys project so well, that's where the field is flocking. And as a result, you get a lower owned Jalen Tyson. I don't mind taking shots on him as a lesser owned option. Then as far as Mr. Cool Cam's other question goes, he just wanted to know our favorite players at each position for a FanDuel GPP. So can certainly do that right here. I've got my FanDuel Sims done running. Do you have FanDuel lineups in front of you as well, Eric?
I didn't play FanDuel today because I love my wife.
Okay. All right. That's mostly understandable. So let's do it this way. I will give out top FanDuel options at each position. You give out top DraftKings players at each position.
Beautiful.
So starting at point guard, who do you like the most on DraftKings for point guard?
Yeah, popular option, Craig Porter Jr., Luka Doncic. They're 1-2. One's value, one's. Those are the two best plays at point guard by a mile.
Yeah, so for me, Craig Porter's actually only 18% owned over on FanDuel. He's a little bit more expensive at $3,900, but I come in way overweight to that 18% mark. So Craig Porter Jr. for me at point guard on FanDuel. Shooting guard, who do you have at DraftKings the most of?
Yeah, right now, Lonzo Ball, but, as I talked about before, that has some leeway here and there. But the shooting guard eligibility is really, really helpful.
Yeah, so for me on FanDuel, it's going to be Dyson Daniels. He certainly looks better on FanDuel and DraftKings because of the increased points for the defensive stats. But then on top of it, too, you got Dyson Daniels playing with no Trae Young. So that should up the amount of time the ball's in his hands and also his playing time overall. So Dyson Daniels for me at shooting guard on FanDuel. Small forward, Eric, what do you got on DK?
It's DeAndre Hunter, and it's not remotely close. Jarius Walker, I like, but DeAndre Hunter's on another planet.
Chrome Hart in the chat saying Craig Porter is not a junior. I am 99.9% certain he is.
Sure is. His dad isn't. So
yeah, that is fair. There are other Craig Porters who are not a junior, but he is. Small forward for me, that is DeAndre Hunter over on FanDuel. Power forward. Eric, what are you liking at power forward on DraftKings?
Obviously Mobley, but keep everything we've kept in mind. Obviously Larry Nance, he's the one I can't live without no matter what. Just in the interest of giving you one other option, Karl Anthony Towns, but he is far less of a priority with Evan Mobley 200 less now, or sorry, 200 more now.
Larry Nance at $3,800 for me at power forward on FanDuel. Now, finally, at center, Eric, what do you have on DK?
Jokic by a mile, my highest owned spend up.
Power forward for, Evan Mobley, who's power forward and center eligible over on FanDuel. It is going to be Evan Mobley as my answer for a FanDuel center. The next question that we have here, and by the way, if you guys haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to sign up for the Stokastic Sims tools, get access to our single lineup sim that Eric and I were building a lineup in before. Also comes with access to our data, our single lineup sims, our post-contest sims, our contest generator sims. All of it you can get underneath the YouTube description. Like, go scroll down on the YouTube. You're going to see a list of different packages that we have here at Stokastic. Any NBA package that you sign up for, that comes with access to everything that you see us using here on screen, as well as access to our Discord channel to ask us questions whenever you want. And then also we have our link join program. So if you guys want to sign up for any of our affiliate partners in our link join program, you'll get 1 free month of core access of a single sport of your choosing for each one you sign up for. So take advantage of that. We actually had, if you didn't see this from last night, Eric, we had Kevin Gallagher. He tweeted at us. He said, bang, just started using the tools for free after I signed up for Caesar Sportsbook, received a free month of NFL Core Sims, and already won a GPP. So you see here, Kevin played just 5 lineups in the $3 GPP last night, used the Stokastic Sims, tied for first place, won $2,000. So already seeing a pretty good return on his $0 investment. So you guys could be just like Kevin. Sign up to the tools for free. Win yourself a GPP. So check that out. Link down below. Go through that link join page. It has all the steps there. It's super easy to follow. Next question. Einstein wants to know, how many of these mid-range guys would have to put up a score that would make stars and scrubs suboptimal? Every slate's different, right? It depends, because what if somebody in the mid-range scores 60 fantasy points, but all the pay-up guys score 90? Every slate is different. No slate is the same. People always look at prices and say like, oh, this guy's 3K. You need to get, this amount of fantasy points at him, or this guy's 12K. You got to get, everything is slate dependent. Some slates are higher scoring. Some slates are lower scoring. You just want to play the best available options with what you have at your disposal each night. It's really hard to say a specific number on any individual player, Einstein.
Yeah, that's what makes this fun, right? Like, I think what makes DFS fun, in my opinion, is that every single day there's a new puzzle to solve. I liked puzzles as a kid. I liked, Sudoku. I liked, crossword puzzles. I like puzzles. I like putting things together and figuring out.
Nerd.
Well, no, I'm saying that's the fun part, is that like we're putting new puzzles together every single day on this show. That's the collaborative effort of this. And that's what the Sims is. The Sims are it's a problem solving tool. We have a problem, which is, how do we get different from the field? How do we recognize what's a good lineup and what's a poor lineup? Some people have bad conceptions of it. Some people have really good conceptions of it because they played a lot of games growing up. And so like, let's just keep that rocking, because like we're collaboratively coming up with solutions to the problem, which is, how do we finish first in a GPP? How do you win the game? You play to win the game. Duh. Please don't hit like
terrible. I tried to play a sound effect. That one was terrible.
Thought you were gonna play like Nuke of the Night or something and just.
No, I was trying to play a sound effect and it was just a terrible sound effect. All right. Live and learn. Never use that sound. It was the punch sound effect, by the way. Live and learn. Never use that one again. Super chat from Amy. Amy wants to know, could we get our picks for tiers? Absolutely. Here's what we'll do, Eric. We'll do tiers picks for Amy, and that will lead us into the Nuke of the Night. So let's pull up tiers here. And I've got this loading on my phone. So NBA tiers, tier 1, we've got Reeves, Maxey, and Morant. Boy, this is a weird tier 1. That just none of the studs. We just pick up right in the middle. That is going to be Morant for me for tonight.
What was the question? What?
We're doing tiers.
Oh, gotcha. The tiers. Okay. I didn't know what you just started listing people off. I did not hear that we were doing tiers. I was too busy in my own feelings for my amazing pep talk that nobody cared about. It's fine. Don't mind me.
Reeves, Maxey, Morant in tier 1.
That is going to be Maxey for me.
All right, tier 2. By the way, there's no way that anybody else was as confused as you were. There's no way.
I was very confused just now. Definitely Maxey for me over Morant. Continue on.
All right, tier 2, Siakam, Booker, Harden, and Zion. That is Siakam for me.
Siakam.
Tier 3, another easy one, Mobley, Giddey, and Jaylen Brown. That is Evan Mobley.
Mobley by a mile.
All right, tier 4, Brunson, Vooch, Cat, Abdia, Jalen Johnson, Jaren Jackson Jr. All right,
Jalen Johnson.
Let me double check.
It's Jalen Johnson for me. Jalen Brunson looks good too, but Jalen Johnson.
That is Cat for me.
Okay.
Tier 5, Markkanen, Murray, Barnes, Leonard, White, Ayton, and then Joel Embiid, who is still stuck on that 20-minute restriction. Who do you like from tier 5?
Yeah, tier 5 for me, I think is a great game theory one. I would put in Lauri Markkanen at the moment, but I like the idea of switching it to Jamal Murray if you get news that he's supposed to be in. Tiers does not lock immediately, and not enough people will play Jamal Murray.
Scotty Barnes for me. And then finally, tier 6, Edgecombe, Holiday, Ingram, Barrett, Mark Williams, Zubac, Trey Murphy III, and then Paul George, who's out. Who do you like from tier 6?
Drew Holiday.
That for me is Zubats for me in tier 6. So, Amy, thank you very much for the super chat. It is appreciated. Even if Eric was wildly confused by the question, I understood what it was that you meant. So, Amy, thank you for the super chat.
Thanks for not throwing me under the bus. That was nice of you. Thank you.
To be fair, you very much did that to yourself there. It is time for the nuke of the night. All right, it is time for Nuke of the Night. Now, I was not here last night because I was doing NFL Live before lock, but I will tell you, Eric, I got a lot of feedback that last night, your Nuke of the Night crushed. And you said right here, by the way, Eric, great Nuke of the Night last night. Kudos, my fried here, he says. Misspelled friend, but we get the gist of it here. So, Eric, a little bit of pressure here on you. You delivered for the people last night. Can you make it back-to-back and come through for them again? Who's your Nuke of the Night?
I can, but this one fucking terrifies me. So here you go. We are obviously playing a lot of Cleveland Cavaliers, correct? We're playing a lot of Cleveland Cavaliers. There's no way against Toronto, the team that is playing up in pace, has no defense outside of Scotty Barnes, that we are not playing the Cleveland Cavaliers. But there is a Jamal Murray Q tag that exists. And I want to make this a twofold Nuke of the Night because it's a sub 8K Jamal Murray on this slate that is going to pull absolutely no ownership whatsoever. And if he plays NBA Cup, I'm expecting big minutes for a sub 8K Jamal Murray. And I get it. Drew Holiday, no joke on the other side. Austin Reeves did just fine against him, though. Individual defense, Tamani Kamara, whatever else. It's a 240 total that we're looking at for Portland and Denver in that late night hammer. So I like Jokic. I like Murray as a differentiating piece. But the one guy that I think is the most interesting and the guy that I think ends up getting the start is Bruce Brown. 3,400 for him if it ends up being Jalen Pickett for whatever reason, such as life. But 3,400 Bruce Brown is just sitting there, not pulling any ownership, and he will pull no ownership. We've seen Tim Hardaway Jr. come in and shoot lights out and get himself up to 32 minutes at times or whatever else too. But I think the starter ends up being Bruce Brown in the event that Jamal Murray sits. And I think that just has to be a guy that you consider at 3,400 to get different. And you're probably looking at pretty dead lineups relative to some of the Cleveland chalk if it doesn't come to fruition. But nobody's backloading it correctly. Nobody's going to be doing it. Now they might a little bit because I'm talking about it, but there's no way that Bruce Brown, who's projected for 15 fantasy points, is going to look good right now. But if he starts, you're going to add 8 minutes to Bruce Brown for this spot with Jamal Murray sitting. And I find him very, very intriguing as a low-owned tournament option. Bruce Brown, nuke the night.
Yeah, don't hate that shout at all. Jamal Murray currently questionable, and really the only key player who's left as questionable for the later game. So in the event that Jamal Murray is out, yeah, certainly we could see the start for Brown there. Also, another reason too, to like my nuke of the night, who I'm kind of surprised is not pulling more ownership, but Eric, Nikola Jokic is 21% owned on our latest ownership update. Yeah. All the value we have on the Cleveland Cavaliers, none of them are center-only eligible. Larry Nance is power forward and center on DraftKings. Evan Mobley is just power forward. And then on FanDuel, they're both power forward center. But there's none of the popular Cavs guys that we really care about are center-only eligible. You could play them power forward. You could play them at forward. I think that makes it so easy to get to Nikola Jokic in lineups, who's lesser owned than Luka Doncic today. And like you just mentioned, there's a hidden, I shouldn't even say hidden upside for Jokic because he has upside no matter what. But you have the scenario here where if Jamal Murray doesn't play, then Jokic's projection is going to go from, what do we have now right now? 62.85 to what, like 64, 65, something like that. And then he's projecting for 5 more fantasy points than Luka in that kind of scenario. Right now, we already have him for 2 more fantasy points and lesser ownership. So I think the field is really underplaying the amount of Jokic they're getting to. I know a lot of people might be like, hey, Jokic, it's not all that contrarian of an option. Considering this slate, he should. I'm stunned he isn't like 35-40% owned in our ownership projections.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm playing. I let that be known. I have a ton. Quentin Jackson starting. What the fuck? Okay.
So a couple of weird starting lineups that just came out, by the way. So we've got while we're doing nuke of the night, the 76ers starting lineup came out, and Jabari Walker is starting for them. So they've got Walker in the starting lineup. And then for the Pacers that just came out, we've got Quentin Rampage Jackson, former UFC light heavyweight champion. His son got arrested recently for a mishap that was all over social media. Yeah. So definitely unsuspecting starting lineups there. Is this going to change how you're looking at value or your lineups at all?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Jackson 3,800. I mean, he played 18 minutes last time out. We know Indy's just short on bodies in general. This is just kind of a weird one. They're not starting Ben Shepherd. They're just like over that. Okay, well, I can't imagine it matters as much on this slate. We're gonna get like 30 minutes of information on him. I'll probably get to trace amounts maybe, but just a weird one to kind of be seeing. I guess this makes me feel better about Pascal Siakam to some extent. Actually, does it? I'm just updating it. And what happens to the rate here? Because Quentin Jackson, over the course of this season, I had it grouped by last year, which obviously is useless to us because Tyrese Halliburton has been sent to the Shadow Realm. Miles Turner has been sent to Milwaukee to live out the rest of his days. But Quentin Jackson, 18.6% usage, just 27 minutes for him. Ben Shepherd, a little bit lower usage guy, but neither one of them. I mean, Quentin Jackson has a 0% assist rate. 0. That's
so here's what we've got. We just updated everything. I'm fairly sure this takes the starting lineup into account because it was an update from. Actually, let me ask Richard Jason, if you're watching this, could you ping me and let me know the projection update we just did? Is this including Quentin Jackson starting for the Pacers, or is this just another update that came? Because this is a very quick update, so I'm not sure if this is just another update that was coming through at the exact same time. Because if this is updated, Quentin Jackson, 24 minutes, 19 fantasy points on most slates at $3,800. Okay, yeah, Rich says it does take it into account. Okay, thank you. Good to know. Thank you, Rich.
Awesome. Thank you.
On a lot of slates, shooting guard, small forward eligibility, just under 20 fantasy points, you'd say, all right, Quentin Jackson, I'm okay with that. But honestly, with this much value, I don't think he's going to show up in very many lineups for me now.
No, I really don't either. 3,800. The other thing too is like, I'm looking at other Denver pieces like Peyton Watson, 3,700, Bruce Brown, 3,400. Like they're all cheaper than this early piece. And yeah, he gets to face Atlanta. Yeah, he seems to be more usage prone, I suppose, than a Ben Shepherd, but ever so slightly. Just kind of a weird starting unit. I just find him a little bit unnecessary, even on a stars and scrubs slate where, you know, he obviously falls into the scrubs bucket, but I will also say pretty awful eligibility, good eligibility, shooting guard, small forward. But considering we don't really need that with the other shooting guard, small forward options, I would actually be more interested if it was like a point guard, maybe, which is weird to say because you got Luka, Craig Porter Jr., but like that's basically it as far as chalk point guards go. Colin Gillespie was mega chalk, and now that's started to come down in an earlier round, and Sugar, we're going down swinging. But I am here for 0% of this guy as I update it.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be at 0%. I just think it's going to be a minimal amount. He'll show up in a couple lineups, nothing all that significant. I also don't like that he's in the first game of the slate. But yeah, I expect that out of 150 lineups, I'll probably have like 3, 4, 5% of them or something like that. But not a massive piece of my lineups or anything like that. But updating it right now, and I'll keep you guys up to date of what ends up landing in my lineups. What do we got next here? Were there any super chats that came through? We do. Goody wants to know, is there a way to limit the number of Cavs in each lineup using filters? So not directly. What you could do is you could do slight negative ROI boosts to a bunch of the Cavs players, and that will just kind of weed out how many of them show up in the same lineups together. You can also, it's funny. I was actually talking to Jeff, who does a lot of our data and tools earlier.
Jeff
for this. Yeah. That's who the video was made after. People don't know that. He works here now. So one thing that we're going to be adding a column that's going to make it easier to do some of these filters, but there isn't a direct way to do it right now. But yeah, you'd have to hand select some of those lineups out, or you could just do the negative ROI boost for a bunch of Cavs players at once, and that'll limit the amount of lineups they show in together. But not like one way that you could directly just say like no more than 4 Cavs players in the lineup. But hopefully that is something that we should have in the near future. All right. Next question that we have to us from Discord. It is Tom Chambers. Tom wants to know, I have Luka and a lot of Jokic. If we end up with Murray out in time, does the simple late swap strategy mean bouncing some Luka for Jokic? Or are we trying to do a lot of pure stars and scrubs with Luka and Jokic from the beginning? So just because of where the value is, my lineups are already going to be very heavy stars and scrubs without making any kind of adjustments. That's just how the lineups are going to show up.
Same. There's no chance that my lineups are not stars and scrubs today. Yeah. Like less 0 beyond 0 beyond 0 beyond 0, where they're just going to be extremely stars and scrubsy, and that's just the way that it is.
That's just the way it is, Eric. Things
of the way
will
that
never
it is.
Be the same.
No.
Next question. It is from CXRSXN is asking us, are there any leverage stars that we like to go to instead of Jokic, Luka, or Mobley? I love this question. Eric, if we're spending up for somebody who is not the obvious spend ups for today, is there a direction that you prefer to go for this slate? Spend up option who isn't one of the more obvious chalk guys?
Yeah, there's 2 of them, both at point guard, Tyrese Maxey and Devin Booker. Devin Booker gets to take on Utah. This has been kind of a slow out of the blocks gate for them. Played 44 minutes in that overtime game, 39 in regulation, playing high 30s minutes. Assist rate only trails that of Colin Gillespie on the other side. Plus, if you play a lineup with him and not Colin Gillespie, I would say there's a little bit of leverage that could exist there. Obviously, completely different price tags, but I do think Gillespie will be the far, far, far more popular of the 2. That's not really breaking any news to you. The other one is Tyrese Maxey, purely because we got a news that Embiid was going to be limited to 20 minutes. We've already seen absurd workload for Tyrese Maxey. He hasn't played fewer than 41 minutes in a game yet this season. And if you're going to continue to get 20-minute limitation, that's less than he played last game for what it's worth. I think it has to be stated that like Tyrese Maxey is out there forever. And he's 9,800 and he's got 60 plus in the bag. And it's a terrible Boston defense on the other side of things with Peyton Pritchard in that starting unit with, Derek White, who's just, kind of out there to dry. There's no Drew Holiday or Jason Tatum on this floor to save people. Like this is definitely a spot for Tyrese Maxey that I like to be overweight to ever so slightly as another star, especially in lineups where I'm trying to get away from Luka by choice.
Yeah. So, for me, it's going to be Pascal Siakam. I hate that he's in the first game of the slate, but with that said, his role is massive for this Indiana team. He's the one staple. There's going to be a lot of things that are in and out. But I mean, like Obi Toppin, he's going to be out for an extended period of time because he went, I don't even remember what surgery was, but he's out for 3 months now. So I like Pascal Siakam a good amount as a spend up. His role is just so massive with this current Pacers team.
You had me in the first half, green check mark. Not going to lie. It was nice.
Yeah,
and then
green check mark.
Nice.
I tailed, wait, put it back up. We didn't get to read the entire thing. Okay. What did he say?
Yeah. Well, he was giving me props, and then he said I look dumb.
Yeah, green check mark. I tailed your De Silva points prop last night, Eric. You aren't as dumb as you look. And then he gives it the green check mark afterwards. That's a nice compliment.
I hate it.
Yeah, Eric was on, what was it, plus 475 you posted on tails for Tristan De Silva to have? That's what it was, correct?
I got plus 450, but yes, it was plus 475.
All right. All right. I misremembered the number. Where else could people get more? Of course, if you guys want to follow me on Tails, you just go to tails.bet. You download the Tails app, follow me, Greg Ehrenberg. And then do you have any deals or anything going on your Tails package at the moment, Eric?
I do. Right now, if you guys use promo code Lindy NBA, that is me, Lindy, and then NBA at the end of it, you can get an entire month for the price of a week. Just $20, come kick it. That's over 50 cents a day, less than $1 a day, though, to be able to come kick it and get some really good bets. I jammed Cleveland. I feel really good about that. And so no matter what happens, my work here is done from a betting perspective. I can kick my feet up and have a nice afternoon until Jalen Tyson doesn't score 10 points, in which case I will break everything in my room.
There we go. You should film that. That would be fun.
Yeah, I don't think I will, but I might. Go on and do like a halftime show, but instead of me dancing and having fun on Playback, it would just be me setting this place on fire. And happy Halloween.
Ninja Black 47 is the field going to sleep on Booker. I like the Booker Jokic lineups. Yeah, last I looked, let me go and see the updated ownership. Eric had also mentioned Booker, but let's see. What's the latest ownership on him?
Not very much.
Booker is... not really. Booker's actually more popular than Jokic.
Is he now? Really?
Booker, 23.5%.
Yeah, 23.5 in our last update. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's a good play at 9,400 still. I mean, what you're looking for is 60. Like, that's what we want from these guys. We need 60 plus. It is a raw fantasy point brigade on anybody 9K and above. And I just kind of look at Maxey, Siakam, Booker. Those are the three guys. They're the most popular, but they should be. Austin Reeves, I can't justify in any way, shape, or form with Luka back. Mm-hmm. If it goes nuts, he goes nuts. James Harden's 8,700, but it's Pelicans. It's a 223.5 total. Everything's kind of awful about it. I'm playing a lot of DFS today. I've been paying attention to this slate a lot, and there's just nothing that gets me away from jamming Jokic and Doncic, but like, I am making some calculated plays on Devin Booker. I just can't believe that he's higher owned than Jokic. That makes no sense to me.
If you look at the pay up options today, outside of the guys who are out and outside of Austin Reeves, who just crazily, he's so highly priced because he was priced in the event that Luka could end up sitting again. So let's take the guys who are out and let's take Austin Reeves out of the mix. Of all the guys over 9K, you've got Morant, very low owned at 1%. Maxey's low owned at 3%. Zion 0.6% owned. But of the guys who are actually pulling ownership, Jokic is the least popular of all of them at 21% of the guys the field is actually playing. So
what are we doing?
I am quite interested in Nikola Jokic tonight.
Yeah, me too. I have so much more than that. It's not even funny, Greg. These are the slates we've always done really well together on, though. Like historically through the years, these are the slates where I get excited because I feel like screenshots are coming, not just for ourselves, but people watching, people tailing, people doing this, because we're going to find the right construction, jamming Jokic with some of these Cleveland pieces. And that makes no sense to me that Booker would be higher owned.
Yeah. Once again, that's why I went with Jokic for now maybe we just get to lock and ends up not being the case, but yeah, at least as of right now, I am getting to by far the most of Jokic of any of the pay up options. One thing I do want to add is I didn't really end up getting underweight to the field on Lonzo or Mobley. I have more of Hunter, Nance, and Porter than I do of Ball and Mobley, but I was around the field on Ball and Mobley. I thought it was going to end up being underweight, but I'm just slightly overweight to Lonzo, a little bit underweight to Mobley, pretty close to the field.
Yep. Oh, did you freeze? Did Greg just disappear on me? Am I just sitting here by myself? Please tell me I'm live at least. Oh, no. It's literally me by myself. All right. Well, hi, everyone. Greg, not only that, but it looks as though he was sent to the Shadow Realm. It got dark in his background. I hope he's okay. His power went out. He just texted me. Holy crap. All right. Well, hi. How about that ride in? That's why they call it Sin City. Ha ha. Is he back? Is he back? Please be back, for the love of God. Fuck it. Maybe. No! 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 That was supposed to be a good stall. That was supposed to be helpful. All right. Well, guess I'll just share my screen here while we're at it. And I was building out final run of my lineups here. And oh, there's Greg again. Greg, would you like me to keep sharing or... Hello?
No, that's fine. So sorry about that. So what happened? Cool. My power went out really quick. It just flickered on and off. So I didn't know what it was that you said, but like the lights flickered and everything went out and then my internet went out, but I'm all good, back online now. And hopefully I'm able to update my my lineups really quickly here before lock. I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. But were there any, I think I saw a super chat that came through. I don't know if you were able to answer that or not. But no, $70 million man. $70 million man said, this one's for Zippy. This is for you, Eric. Eric helped me, meaning $70 million man, a lot by listening to your takes last year. You called some late swaps on Portland. I cashed big. I've been down every year since. You're a big part of Stokastic. So $70 million man says that he's only had one prop, if I'm understanding this correctly, only one profitable year playing DFS, and he attributes it to you, Eric Lindquist.
Oh, no, I think he's saying you helped me a lot by listening to it. And then he said, I've been down ever since, as in like he's been down with me. As he's down, getting down with the sickness, baby. Eric didn't do shit while you were gone, Greg. Fuck you. How about that? God, some people just suck. Don't suck. Don't be an asshole for no reason. I was working hard. I hit the exotic play of the night. I was so desperate to try to do this while making my lineups, while being helpful to you. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah, look, you guys are giving our friend a nervous breakdown here. He's doing his best with his limited capabilities. Give him credit for that. Graded on a curve at least. I'm sure he did a fine job for him.
Let's take a look at what I got here in my lineups. Just
well, we got some super chats. We got
super chats. Go.
All right. JR says running late. Sorry if it was already asked. Top ownership at each position on DraftKings. Yeah, so we could run through this really quick. We did answer it earlier, but that's no big deal at all. Might be good to reiterate it for some people. So for me on DraftKings, Eric at point guard, it is Craig Porter Jr. For you.
Same.
At shooting guard, that ended up being Lonzo Ball for me. Here's what I think led to me getting to more Lonzo Ball than I anticipated when we were first looking at the updates. The shooting guard position sucks relative to every other position on the slate. So Lonzo ended up being the guy at shooting guard. I found it hard to get away from than I thought it was going to be earlier.
And that's why I like Bruce Brown a lot.
Small forward, DeAndre Hunter.
DeAndre Hunter by a lot.
Power forward, Larry Nance.
Larry Nance.
And then center, Nikola Jokic. I just listed a lot of Cavs guys. That's the way it is, though.
Yeah, but I mean, just be honest with the people, and that's what you're doing. So that's what are you supposed to do? Say something that's not true?
Yeah. It's the best looking team on the slate by a mile there. So We're all caught up on questions now, Eric. So what is it that ended up showing up in the Sims run that you did right there?
Yeah, so I mean, I was just kind of like doing another just like template. So I'm combining this with some other stuff and just kind of letting it come out in the wash. Craig Porter Jr., Larry Nance, Lonzo Ball, DeAndre Hunter. The one thing that I am going to consciously do when we get off of this show is just kind of maneuver around one stud along with some Bruce Brown. And I think just doing it after the fact is pretty darn easy, especially, you know, if you're playing 50 lineups or 70 lineups like I am tonight. Just one of those things where out of my top 70 right now, I'm all right, just being a little bit under. And the other guy that I'm just going to kind of find a way to do that isn't necessarily an ROI boost is Thomas Bryant, who's currently in 0%. But I will repeat this. Thomas Bryant is such a good fantasy producer. And this is one of those just like ultra special players that if he gets 20 minutes, there is smash fest written all over it. And I'm not thinking that it's likely that he gets to 20 minutes all that much, but he's 1 or 2% owned on a slate where there is giga 50, 60, 70% chalk. So I love the idea of a little bit of Thomas Bryant, but when you're playing more of a limited number of lineups and not playing 150 today, like I think that that's just kind of an easier thing for me personally to do. But, you know, I'm going to favorite my top 150 here afterwards in the late swap and kind of figure out exactly which direction I want to go with some of those. But yeah, really appreciate it. And look at this. I was correct. Our guy, $70 million man X, he does love me. He really loves me. And I'm a big fan of you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
There we go. $70 million man. Thank you very much for supporting the show. Everybody else who wants to support us, here's some easy ways to do it. Either you sign up for a package at Stokastic, but if you want to simply do something like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, that helps us out a whole bunch. Another thing that really helps us a lot right now, if you guys have been using Tails and you're enjoying it, take 2 minutes out of your day to leave us a 5-star review and write a couple of nice sentences about us. The more reviews we get, the more that app is going to be recommended to more people. That's going to mean that the app is going to then be something that we could invest more in to build out more features and make it a better experience for you guys. So if you guys are enjoying Tails, you want it to be made even better, just leave us a 5-star review, write a couple of nice sentences. It goes a really long way and it costs $0 of your dollars, just like 2-3 minutes of your time. And we really do appreciate it. So if you could do that, perfect. All right, let's see if there was any other questions that came into Discord. Not quite yet. 2 minutes to go into lock. And don't forget, right after this, Josh and I are going to be over on Playback, watching the games, reacting to any kind of late-breaking news, any sort of starting lineup changes. And this is an important one for that, Eric, because as we talked about on the show, Jamal Murray, he is still questionable to play heading into lock. We also, unless it is just come across in the last few seconds, we don't have the starting lineup yet for the Cleveland Cavaliers. That could be something really weird and unexpected, just like when Josh and I were doing the show a few days ago. And what happens? We end up getting the starting lineup for the Miami Heat, and it was way different than what anybody expected. Pelle Larsson was in the starting lineup. So we have some sort of expectation of who Cleveland is going to start, but who the hell knows? It could be something completely off the wall insane. Our current projected starting lineup is Craig Porter Jr., Jalen Tyson, DeAndre Hunter, Dean Wade, Evan Mobley. But don't be stunned if it ends up being something else. Is that your expectation for the Cavs starting lineup, or do you think they'll go in a different direction?
I think that's exactly what they do, for what it's worth. I'd be surprised if it was something different.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I definitely wouldn't have guessed Pelle Larsson as the starter the other day.
No.
Any other news that is important to you post-lock that we're waiting on?
Jamal Murray. I want to have a little Jamal Murray. I want to have a little Bruce Brown in my life. Just enough. Just the tip, just to see how it feels.
Absolutely. $70 million man, another super chat from him. Last thing I want to say, let's go. And then he left us some emojis there. So $70 million man, thank you very much. It is appreciated. Final question before we head on over to Playback, Eric. I want to know, what is most likely to ruin your lineups today? What is somebody you're very exposed to that you're nervous about, or maybe somebody you are underexposed to that you are maybe nervous could end up killing you by not having enough of them?
It's very easy. You could just call it a quad, like the Quattro, the 4. Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Craig Porter Jr., and Mr. Larry Nance Jr. If one of those 4 fails, I'm just fucked. So it is what it is. I like, there's nothing that is saving me if one of those 4 suck.
Yeah, let's see. Who would be just a really bad player to have a ceiling game for my lineups? Jalen Brunson is 14% owned. I only have a few lineups with him. If Jalen Brunson was to go out and score like 60 fantasy points in a good matchup against the Against the Bulls, I could see that being something that hurts me. There's a lot of guys in that price range. The guys who are like the 8K. Denny Avdi is another one who's 7% owned, who I don't have in lineups. The guys like this that are in like the 8K range that I only have 1-2% of, but are projected to be like 8 to 15% owned. Any of those guys going out and scoring like 50, 60 fantasy points, that would be no good for me, Eric.
That would be very, very bad for me as well. So let's not have that.
Late question here from Sifton Super. Aaron Gordon. Yeah, I think Aaron Gordon, not right now. If Jamal Murray is out, he's a reasonable pivot.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm probably not going to get there. So I will be vehemently cheering against Aaron Gordon. I would rather play Peyton Watson. I know that sounds crazy, but it is what it is.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you have not done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and come join Josh and I over on Playback, where for the next hour, we're going to be sweating games alongside you guys. And we are also going to be on the lookout for any kind of late-breaking news, starting lineup changes. So head on over to Playback. I just dropped that link into the YouTube chat. You guys will see like Alexander Byer says Playback ? Yeah, it is right there. Dropped in a few times. I'll do it 2 more times. There's the Playback link. Click on that link. Join Josh and I over on Playback. We're going to watch the games on screen over there and break down any late-breaking news. So, Eric, good luck with you tonight. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, and see you over on Playback.